Do you know what a notion is? It's not some wild and crazy idea. It's a department in a fabric store, and that's where you buy all the nuts and bolts for making your garments. You could lose your mind trying to decide which things to buy and spend a day doing it, but you don't need all of those things. You actually need very few things, and I'm going to show those to you today. When you think of straight pins, I'll bet this is the one that comes to mind. It's about 1 inch long and has a flat metal head. It's been around for decades, but this pin, which is a little newer on the scene, is easier to use, and it's my personal favorite. It's about 1 1/4 to 1 1.5 inches long, has a glass ball head so that it doesn't melt when you iron it, and it has a good sharp point for getting through fine fabrics. It's also easier to see. And then there's a novelty pin that's actually very nice. It's another 1/2 inch longer, but its head is flat and can also be pressed. So this pin won't roll away from you. One of your most important tools are scissors. Start with an 8-inch pair of these are well-crafted scissors. They'll last you a lifetime. You can sharpen them. You can see there are screws and bolts to take them apart and keep them balanced beautifully. If you nick an edge, it can be repaired. This is an expensive scissor. It might start in the $50 range. This scissor is one that you're probably more familiar with, and it's a perfectly good scissor to start sewing. It's basically the same size, and it'll give you the same work for a while. One of the important things you want to consider when you're buying scissors is how it feels in your hand, how the points work. Does it clip neatly into corners, and does it make you feel good? After you have a scissor that does this work for you, then buy a smaller pair that's almost identical to it. This is the scissor that you trim seams and clip into tiny places, do some of your cleanup work when you're sewing. And then, of course, right by your sewing machine, it's nice to have a pair of snips. These cut loose thread ends and help clean up your sewing. While we're talking about cutting equipment, we need to see the mat. Then you have the rotary cutters. They come in a variety of different sizes and brands, and they work a lot like a pizza cutter. Most of them have a safety. You release the safety, roll it across the fabric, and it cuts. A large cutter like this is good for cutting straight seams and very wide curves. The smaller the cutters, the closer in they can get. Be careful when you're cutting with a rotary cutter not to put your hand out in front and cut it. This is a big blade. It makes deep cuts. Don't forget the measuring tape. It's indispensable. This is the classic version, and you can get it about 60 inches long to 114 inches long. It's got inches on one side and the metric system on the other side. This is a retractable tape. Same measuring system. It's about 60 inches long, and when you're done with it, you push the button and it goes away. You also need a good ruler. This is the favorite of many sewers. It's clear so that you can see through it and see your fabric or your patterns. It's divided into 1/8-inch grids, which works with the seam allowance measurements. You can easily find 5/8, a 1/2 inch, a 1/4 inch, and this ruler will bend on edge, so you can measure around corners. As you develop in your sewing, you might want to consider going into curved rulers. These rulers were designed for designing and give you some of the curves that you might need in a shoulder or a neckline or here in a hip, and also help you with spacing buttons. And they're just a nice all-around notion. You're going to need some kind of marking tools. This is the traditional dressmaker's tracing paper. It has a coating on it that transfers to fabric. It can be wax or chalk. You lay it over your fabric, then you place your pattern over that and use a wheel. It'll either have a serrated or straight edge, and trace the section you want to transfer to your fabric. Here I'm copying this dart. You see when I peel it back, the markings have transferred to the fabric. There are other ways of marking too. Tailors have been using these square little pieces of chalk that are available in a variety of colors for centuries. This is a slightly wide line. You can shave these pieces down to get a narrower line. I personally prefer to use powdered chalk. It's dispensed by a wheel that rolls along the fabric. There are also felt tip pens that mark. There's one end of this pen that will place a mark that will dissolve in the air. In a couple of days, this mark will disappear. Then there is another mark that is water soluble. When you're through with the mark, you just touch it with some water and the mark disappears. One last notion that you want to be sure to pick up is a seam ripper. We all need these things. See you next time.